And there we go. On our own. Europe is our oyster. Oh, once I put my bloody helmet on properly. Now we are off to see some First World War in Belgium. The Yorkshire trenches. Take a run up. So, sorry everyone, just me now. I had a fantastic museum though. If you can, come and see it. You're very unlikely to see anything like it anywhere else because nothing else like it exists. So, yeah. I'd give that 10 out of 10. Very unique site. Let's hope for some slightly twistier roads. Oh, what a beautiful day though. Beautiful day. So we found that place by accident. We were just looking through Google, and I had heard about the history of it before. But it is weird. I listen to a lot of weird ways of making you talk. I watch a lot of documentaries, but if you're into that sort of thing, you suddenly come to France, Belgium, Germany, and you're just so spoiled for places to go. Yeah, it's yeah, it's silly really. I should have a list. Yeah, it's weird. I never came on holidays to France when I was little, so it's still a bit funny. I read more about France as a history of World War I and II than I do actually come to the country or look at modern history. So when you come here, it's going to sound stupid, but I hope other people are similar. It's like meeting your heroes kind of thing. You come in and you go, oh wow, I can actually. It's not just a documentary. I can come and actually see the trenches. And where do I go? Where do I go to this one, that one? What do I do? It probably just sounds silly, and all you lot are going, well, just plan it, mate. It's not hard. Or if you live here, you're thinking, what the fuck? What the hell? Anyway. So, I'm going to get on my way, and I might bring you back if we get some pretty roads. See you soon. Oh, what road is this? Ow! Ow, 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 Ah! Hello. Ow, 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 ow. How can he ride so fast on this? My bike's going to fall to pieces. Ow, 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 ow. Oh, please end! God! It's like driving a Fiat Abarth on a normal, perfectly smooth highway. So this is a quiet, different little spot. It's called the Yorkshire Trenches, and it was a system developed in dug in 1915 to 17 for the second Battle of Ypres. And these were found when this large industrial estate was being built, and they found 200 bodies, along with what set out of these trenches and the deep shelter, which follows that path down there. Obviously deep. Sadly, we can't go down into the deep shelter, which is a shame. It's all been reflooded, but we'll have a little walk through the trench. And it is a trench now. So we can see what would have been. These would have been the A-frames, duckboards to keep the guys out of the water in the bottom of the trench. And this would have been the entrance to the deep shelter. So it was all dug. When this was found, as so often by volunteers, these were dug out and they were like a time capsule. And we will find it. There's actually, I think the finds have gone to the museum in Ypres, which is where we're staying tonight. So we'll go see if we can find those. It's very sombre walking around an area like this. Again, like the missile site, like the V2 base. All around now, there's a wind turbine there. Massive industrial estate. I've come here on a holiday. So you see the duckboards here. The idea is it would have raised them up, all the water would have stayed below. But yeah, we come here on a holiday and millions fought, lived and died here to keep Europe free. And in this day and age, where we are now in history, well, who knows? I think this would have represented a sniper plate. So there a gunpoint there, and just go, and you would snipe over the other trench. From what I remember, they would often, they would actually turn the bullet around in the cartridge, so you have the blunt end going out, and as the blunt end hit the back of that plate, it would cause spall, or small pieces of steel to fly off into the face of the other side. And there's the other entrance into the deep shelter. I did make a film, so if there's a link to it anywhere, I'll post it. If not, we'll see what we can find at the museum. What really gets you is, I don't know how accurate these are, I'm going to guess it's accurate, but how tight the trench is. I mean, if I just stand up straight here, not a lot of room, is there? And there's how the duckboards and A-frames worked. Lest we forget. So you can see what they actually dug up. Oh, this is really nice. A really nice little memorial. Look at that in the sun as well. Very special. That's what they found. I'm not so sure about the cartoony nature of it as much. But, so we can see the trench line running there. So that is the trench line here. And then there are the two entrances we just walked past. So that would have been what they look like underneath. We see this area of the salient here. So a salient was basically a piece of the line that jutted out, and you'd always try and cut that off. One, the defending side might do it to basically shorten your lines, or the enemy side would attack it because you could encircle whoever was in it. Ypres was fought over several times, the most famous being the Third Battle of Ypres, or Passchendaele. Nice. They do remember here, certainly more than we do. But obviously, being Belgium was an occupied nation for the most part, Ypres was the only area that wasn't. So that's why it was so bitterly held on to. But we'll leave you there, and we'll go see what we can find in Ypres. This is my room, Castillof. Yes, I had Domino's, but they weren't serving any food in the restaurant, and all I could get delivered. You can see the water park at the back there. It's nice. Lovely breakfast for €80. It has a bathroom. But we're all packed up. I'm going to go to, I think, there's a little museum that's attached to that trenchy bit we saw yesterday, so I'm going to go there and then back to another one which had all the various findings from that trench we looked at in the industrial estate. So yes, this is Saturday, so what's this, Sunday, this is Sunday now. This is day 3, and then I've got today and tomorrow, and then Monday I'm meeting some work friends. So yeah, okay, right, we'll see you at the next stop. You go back to 1917. By that point, this land had changed hands 3 times between the British and Germans. And this itself is the Hooge, certainly huge, crater, which is actually 4 craters by the information board. And these happened when each side would actually burrow out underneath from their trenches, underneath no man's land, and then set ammonol beneath the enemy trench, which was a very, very powerful, slow bursting explosive. Basically heave the ground up below the trenches. And, well, woe betide you if you were inside those trenches. The biggest one being, I think it was the Battle of Messines Ridge, where it was described as basically they were vaporised. And it was only in 1918 actually that the ground was finally won back for good, because it was another area that was taken back by the Germans in the final offensive, their final offensive of the First World War. There are some interesting bits around here though. What we're walking on now are actually concrete blocks used to build the bunkers, I believe. The holes in them they were joined together in various forms. You can see there's some shape to some of these, and then iron rods were bashed through to create a very powerful fortification, or at least a strong one anyway, whether it would be a dugout or a fortification to fight from. So we have shell casings galore. You can see the pigtails. And these were used so they could lay barbed wire quietly. You don't want to hammer in stakes in trench warfare because you would very quickly attract artillery or sniper fire. So these could be wound in quietly, put a stick through the tail and just wind it in, run your barbed wire. That would all usually be done at night. In 1916-17, what was the German line is now a water park. And if that doesn't tell you all you need to know about how far we've come and hopefully never go back to, then I don't know what would. The remains of a rifle where the wooden buttstock rotted away. It's interesting that, I would say that has grown up with the tree. It's been reattached, but if you look at the way the actual site there is, that's definitely come out of the tree. We have another bunker here. I don't know how much you'll be able to see, but we'll go in through the larger door. Some wonderful pictures as well. Well, no, it's all a horrible feel, but you know what I mean. From a point of view of seeing what happened here. I imagine there was a bit more height in here, but I bet there wasn't much more height in here. Actually, the floor does feel like stone. Can you imagine this being your home? Again, shells galore. Anyone that knows me knows how much I hate spiders, so bringing you that, you know, that's prime time viewing. The size of those. Another rifle there. Look at how the barrel's just bent. The force it would take to do that. More of those plates, whether they're view plates, sniper points. See some of the narrow gauge railway there as well. These are really quite ghostly. These are actually in stereo, if I can make it work. You can kind of see the effect. But I've not seen a piece of media before, usually it might be Algerian troops, where you almost feel they're looking back at you. Words can't describe it, but you do need to come here. Whether you have a passing interest or anything like that, if nothing else, just to pay respects, because we all should. And you can wear a poppy at home, you can do all of that, but you don't really get, none of us will ever get a real sense, but you never get closer to it than coming to what was the battlefield. But we'll find some nicer roads soon. It's not all depressing and war. And of course, we're all free now. We're free to do this. We're free to have a water park where the old front line used to be. So it should be remembered. Victory should be celebrated. It shouldn't be seen as just the meat grinder of the First World War. There was a reason for it. Whether we get into the reason that it should have started in the first place or not, I don't think that. There will always be conjecture on that, but there was a reason to fight it once it did start, so that we could do what I'm doing at the moment. Thank you, museum. Thank you, Belgium. That was all very nice. Just do up the straps. How many times do you have to do this sort of thing on a bike before you get used to it? It's bad enough remembering to put your gloves on. But now I've got a strap in case the GoPro falls off. I've got microphones. I've got the GoPro. Oh no, I don't know. It's fun though. Oh, I'm enjoying making a little recording of all this, and I'm hoping some of you enjoy watching it as well. Hey! Okay, so there are a lot of nice routes in Belgium, I'm sure, but they're all in the south, and I'm not going all that way south, because we'd end up with a 6-hour long trip, I think. So what I've done is we're avoiding road closures and we're avoiding motorways, and that actually picks up quite a few. So that is what we're going to do. I'll bring you back when there's some nicer roads, but our destination is Joe's Bridge in Lem something, because that is the start of Operation Market Garden, or specifically the market part of Operation Market Garden. So it was a two-part operation. Market was where 30 Corps started their advance through the Netherlands, to link up all the bridges that have been captured by Garden, or the airborne forces, American and British. So there we are. You can get the hammer down though, because we've got about, well, you can see we've got a little bit of time to go. But hopefully we'll find some nice roads on the way. See you all in a bit. So they reckon round this would all have been flattened to nothing. We're just sort of leaving the salient now. But there were most of the finds around here are found just 60 centimetres below the surface, which is crazy thinking, isn't it? There was a picture back in the museum there of the French and German lines, and in between them was just piles of dung. The farmers hadn't had a moment to plough in yet. Just to show how just in a normal place the war was. It wasn't pre-prepared positions. It wasn't old days when you used to have a fort, would you? These roads are quite fun as well. They're obviously very technical, and you ain't going quick on them, but yeah, nice nonetheless. It's very pretty around here. I never thought I'd say this, but I wish I was back in the UK. The roads here are awful. Very windy, but the roads here are appalling. It's like being on a bloody roller coaster. I think the French wants to get all the money for roads, and the Belgians get nothing. Hour in, nothing to report, apart from the fact that the sheepskin seat cover is fantastic. I have no bum pain at all after these few days. So there you go, go natural, especially if you can't get any of the other posh covers. And when it was warm, I didn't have a warm bum, and now it's not warm, I don't have a cold bum. So there you go, best of both worlds. And it's like sitting on a sheep's face. Meow. Why are your speed limits so low, Belgium? So coming up down here, hopefully, is finally something interesting in Belgium, and this is where Operation Market Garden started. I might have already said a bit about it, but yeah. So this is where the ground part of Operation Market Garden started. The drive of 30th Corps up through into the Netherlands, capturing, reinforcing and relieving the airborne forces that captured each bridge. This was meant to be a hop, skip and a jump into Germany, over the Rhine, and then tea and biscuits in, well, not Berlin, as we might discuss later, tea and biscuits in somewhere in Germany. It didn't end up that way, as we'll learn as we make our own way through it. We'll probably do a better job than 30th Corps, especially General Gavin, but there we are. It should just be up here somewhere. There's the bridge. There's not anywhere to stop seemingly. Ah, there's some parking down there. Shit. We'll see if there's some parking on the other side. This is it. This is the first bridge over Anne River. Looks like there might be some parking. It's Linnell. Oh, there's a lorry down here. Maybe not. We can get under it, but I don't think I should be here. There's the bridge. And that was the start of Operation Market Garden. Ooh, so from here, they continued up towards Eindhoven. we shall also go.
Since so long, all the fields are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life.
What a kitchen. This is the Hof B&B in Amsterdam. I'll put a little link up here in the mirror. Yep, it's all, as you say, very, very nice and very well priced. So tomorrow, slight change, it is Liberation Day. So the 5th of May, every 5 years, the lovely Dutch celebrate a national day for liberation. Obviously each bits of the country are liberated at separate times, but the 5th of May is when the German army finally gave in. So museums are shut apart from there's the Wings of Liberation Museum, which is sort of on the route for Market Garden. So we're going to do that, and then we'll sort of jump back onto the route and up to Arnhem. But I'm hoping there's going to be some really cool stuff to see on the way as well, because there's just celebrations going on all over the country. So the timing couldn't be better. But I'm going to go explore Eindhoven a bit. I'll take some video on my phone because I don't really want to carry the GoPro around. First part is an actual Bailey Bridge. It's interesting, you can see how they're put together. There was speed, so it was all pins and clamps to hold the thing together. Bridging was incredibly important. It's not as sexy as fighting, is it? But if you can get your troops over a river, especially in a place where there's lots of rivers, you weren't going to get anywhere. We remember the Blitz, obviously, but there were other ones, Rotterdam being one of the first in Europe, if you ignore the Spanish Civil War. There is some interesting stuff here. I've not seen a weasel or a compressor truck. Don't think it's quite as bad as Ryanair, is it? I wonder if they've got a copy of Roadcraft in there. Staying on bikes, I'd love to get hold of one of these little folding Cushman bikes. Yep, tank nut, found a Stug. Which runs, looking at the floor. I say tank, it's a self-propelled gun, isn't it? Oh, they're cool. That was really interesting. Really good little museum. And some tanks, which is even better. Fucking hell. Take it out of gear. Okay. We're now en route. Saab. Kind of a Saab guy. Okay. So now we're on to Son, which is annoyingly 6 minutes. I have to press skip because I haven't worked out how to make it not do that. I tried the curvature app, and I don't know. Okay, I don't know whether the GPX file was just rubbish, but curvature couldn't make any sense of this GPX file at all. When I looked at the photo from it, for this route, everything, all the waypoints were in line. As soon as I opened it in curvature, they weren't. It just mixed them all up and turned it into a 40-hour trip around here. So, I don't know. Maybe I reserved judgment on curvature, but it seemed utter crap. Anyone else use it? What do other people use to open GPX files? And don't say a satnav, because I don't want to buy a satnav. But anyway, so the route of Market Garden, the land route, started off actually in Belgium. We went over Joe's Bridge yesterday. It went through Son, Weigel, and then up into Nijmegen, over the Nijmegen Bridge, and then to Etel, which, as we saw in the museum, was where the land part of it sadly stopped. So we're going to make our way there, and then I think my plan is to rather go to the Hartenstein Hotel, which was the command point for 1st Airborne. I think we'll go to the side of the river where the actual operation ended, where they were storm boated over by the Canadian engineers. Just to change it up a bit. Seeing the flags down this road actually sort of shows one of the problems 30 Corps had, because the well-wishers, all the happy people throwing food and flowers, and, well, not as much food, thanks to the Germans, but having, things thrown at them, things written on the tanks and the half-tracks, as we saw in the museum, that all slowed 30 Corps down. Could it well have been foreseen? I think so, but so on top of German opposition, which is all through towards the end of the war, was much stronger than the Allies ever thought it would be. Because anyone in their right mind would be surrendering. It wasn't until really Hitler's death that they did. If you read James Holland's fantastic books, one of them, my favourite, being Brothers in Arms, which followed the Sherwood Rangers. Not only was it all the fighting was needless by that point, certainly, but you could argue by sort of 43 that the Germans had lost the war. Anyway, certainly by that point it was just needless death. The end was never in doubt. But anyway, on top of the very stiff German resistance, you had joyful people to deal with. What are you going to do? Tell them to get out of the way, fire shots? Oh, you're liberated. Now get the proverbial out of the way. And that all caused congestion, on top of moving a large core of armour and trucks down a single road. And all through the war, airborne operations didn't particularly go that well. Give any sorts of any number of examples. Overlord went fairly well, obviously D-Day, but it still went badly in the drops are very scattered and everything like that. See all the flags. Military cemetery again. Yeah, the drops were scattered. The drops being scattered in the end was a bit of a plus because the Germans didn't know where to look. Being honest as well, the other side to help with that was a lot of the German troops weren't German, they were Ost battalions. So from badly equipped, badly trained troops from various parts of Eastern Europe. It's a big tractor just for cutting the grass, isn't it? You're serious about cutting the grass here. That, I don't understand that. Can I ride on those? I don't get it. I should have googled that. I'm going to say that's for scooters only, but it's very odd. So that never helped, and as soon as you have airborne forces out there, they need reinforcing. One thing that airborne always struggle to carry is heavy weapons and armour. And we did have the little Locust tanks with the little 2-pounder, which is not much against heavy armour, and they could carry a 6-pounder anti-tank guns. But 1st Airborne especially were dropped really quite far from their objective by the Hartenstein Hotel, funny enough. And they had to get to the bridge, and then moving all of that. The glider drops then went badly because gliders, by the fact of what they are, tend to get slightly influenced of where the wind might take them. So that's a bit of an issue. All of that obviously, why do they use gliders? Remember, they didn't have helicopters, didn't have heavy lift helicopters, which is what would be used for every day afterwards. But yeah, let's continue our little journey and we'll learn more as we go. We found a windmill! Just need to find someone in clogs now. So we're just exiting Grave, I'm going to say it's Grave, over, look at this funky thing. There's one of the memorials there. And a blockhouse. Oh! We should probably go back to that, shouldn't we? Let's see if we can spin around and go see that. Cool bridge though, look at this. This might actually be the bridge that was crossed, because it does look quite of the period, doesn't it? Now this is the John S. Thompson Bridge over the River Maas at Grave. It was named after the leader of 16 men from the 82nd Airborne Division, who captured the bridge rapidly and intact, most importantly, from the Germans. It was one of the most successful ops of Market Garden, and it was incredibly important later on in the war for the Allied build-up to cross the Rhine. Timed perfectly, just as I was walking up to the memorial, this little convoy came past as well. I got chatting to them and they were lovely. They do a lot of education around the area and run this convoy on most of the liberation days. Not the polo though. Oh, they were lovely. I just met a load of absolutely fantastic people convoying their old Dodge trucks and things down here. Obviously for Liberation Day, or Day of Liberty I think he said they call it. But they do loads for teaching kids, all sorts. Absolutely fantastic. It's one thing seeing it in the museum, but you have to see them running. A brilliant story about this as well. It's named after the, I think it was a sergeant, John S. Thompson, who captured it. in the sort of opposite way of again why the Arnhem Bridge didn't work out. In his Dakota, he decided this doesn't look like the right place, I'm not dropping. Being told to jump, jump, jump. No, 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 these are houses, I don't see the bridge. In the end, with his 16 men, they saw the bridge drop, they landed just short of it, 700 metres or something like that. Made their way, captured the bridge themselves, and ever since, after that, it was named after him. So, now we are on to Nijmegen, which was the final crossing before the column got stopped. On our way to Arnhem. We're coming, boys! There's another bridge over there. I'm sure this was the one of the two, though. This is the road bridge at Nijmegen, over the Vaal, and it would ultimately be the final crossing captured during Market Garden. There is some conjecture as to why it wasn't blown up by the Germans, whether it was because they wanted it for future counterattacks, or the brave work of Dutch resistance members sabotaging it. The major delay here was because of German reinforcements. Much stiffer resistance meant that 82nd Airborne couldn't take the bridge prior to 30 Corps' arrival, and even when they did arrive, it took days to capture the bridge. On the day it was captured, that was the point at which John Frost and his paras at Arnhem had to surrender. Okay, so finally now, once we're out of here, we are on our way to Arnhem. There's the bridge. It nearly was a bridge too far for us, wasn't it? I missed. There we go. There we go. But that is the end of our trip. Next to a bit of wasteland, but there we go. Wasn't that many miles since we started. It's done very well. After Nijmegen was captured and the 1st Airborne troops under Frost surrendered, the final part of the operation played out, with the remnants of the Polish and British paras under Roy Urquhart and Stanislav Sosabowski being evacuated over the Rhine from Oosterbeek. Eventually the Allies would pull back to the Nijmegen Bridge and the fronts would sit there. Market Garden was in the end a failure. It didn't reach all its objectives, and it didn't catapult the Allies across the Rhine as hoped. But it did capture most of them, and eventually this area would become the springboard for crossing the Rhine on a wide front in Operation Plunder. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I loved the trip and I really enjoyed making this video. I hope you've equally enjoyed watching. Please sub and like and all that sort of thing, and I'll see you next time in the garage. Thank you.